You got this is buffer beam, and that's for your there. Look, they know. Look, they see me high vis and a person. Oh, look, he's got food. I haven't. No food here. There's a little bridge here. Kirklees is 15 inch. You can bring engines from any of those railways here as a visiting locomotive, long word. You come here and you can run them. It's just one of their diesels like Sheila Eskdale. You could probably get it running on this quite happily. Probably couldn't do the speed of Ratty, but you could pull a nice train with it. You even get Perkins down. I like Perkins. He's a proper working engine. But yeah, so you could bring any engine here. You gotta look at the wheelbase. Quite a few tight curves on this railway, but it might work. You might get away with some locos, and others you won't. There you go. It's 15 inch for TE with me walking, and that come out of TE's pocket, ready to come into action for a bit of measurements. You know, you can't beat a bit of measurement in inches. And this is, like I said at Fleetwood, 15 inch is like the minimal working gauge for doing freight and passenger. 12 is a bit small. You can do it in 12, but if you want to get some real, just move this stick here, get off the line. If you're doing something like wood, like these big trees here what are falling down, these big trees what are falling down here, you wanted to cut that up with your steel chainsaw, you know, and you have a train here with some wagons on for your timber, you could happily do it on this gauge of railway, but on a 12 you might struggle with it, you know, when you're picking something up that big, you know, putting it on here with a bit of weight on. So yeah, because a lot of, well, not all, when you go into mining, when you get into mining railways, they go to 2 foot gauge, which is a lot bigger than this. 2 foot is that's 2 foot. You get into that gauge, and that's, you know, that's a lot wider than 15 inch. You know, you get into, you know, and they do that gauge because it's carrying a lot more weight on mining engines with slate or whatever they mine, rock, you know, limestone. You're getting into a lot bigger weight, so they need a bit wider girth of the rails, spread the weight, because on the 15 inch you can spread the weight with a wide bodied engine, but you're always limited because you've always got that now track wheels, so you can do it, but it just depends what you're really running on it. TE here, if I had a big state like this, I'd have 15 inch because it's a minimal working gauge for doing freight, and have some mix of British and American loco. And I'd get as a guy near us, Peter, who's a model engineer who makes narrow gauge railways. Well, he does engines and railways. I think he does a bit of both. So we've done a full loop here. I think we're coming back round to the main station. I think we've done is it maybe just under a mile or maybe just over a mile? No, we need one of those wheels that I push along and count how many miles it is, like a survey wheel, you know. There's another crossing. I tell you what, it's one of the Romney Ivenden Church has a load of crossings, like big road crossings, where they've had a few incidents of tractors hitting trains and stuff. But this has got quite a lot of crossings on, from foot and road. But no gates, it's all proper, you've got to look and listen and make sure there's no engine there, but it's quite good. It's a bit of a gradient here, road crossing here, and looking, the rails go, you probably can't see on camera, but it goes up here. I bet when it's a bit slippy on rails, I bet get a bit of slippage on it. Can't be a bit of slippage. That guy now will be going home and looking for Thomas Edward on YouTube. I told him, so when you get back, look for Thomas Edward. I said, I've just done a video about Fleetwood Lost Railways, and he just looked for my small with me hat on. I might have a new TE fan there. He didn't seem too impressed, but he might go home. He might remember it when he goes home and go, oh, what was that lad called I met today? And there's a pond over there, and that's the road back up to the hall. But I think there's the water tower. I think this is Journey's End. I think we've done the full loop of this 15-inch gauge at Haigh Hall or Haigh Park. You know, it's whatever you want to call it, but it is Haigh Hall Station. This is, because you know the hall's only up there. Well, we just see if you just pan to left, but a few runners on it and dog walkers. That's the hall up there. But that was, you know, you can't beat looking in the bushes. We found some old wagons and we've done a bit of measuring, and we've had a talk to a man about the railway and stuff. It's been a good day with TE. We're going to walk up there after. I'll talk a bit about the car show they used to have on here. We're going to have a look bit around the hall, but we won't go too much into it because the main part of this video is about this 15-inch gauge railway. Right, down here is the miniature railway. It's the Wigan engineering miniature. It's quite a good little size, like. I had a bit of a look at it last time, but we'll have a look at it again, have a mooch. Well, you can't beat looking at one 15-inch and then going looking at another a bit smaller than a 15-inch, like a 5-inch or something. But you can't beat having a look at narrow gauge stuff. You can't go home and not see it. Oh, bird hiding feeding station. Oh, that sounds a bit of TE, that does. Oh, there's a robin up here. A familiar face in the depths of the winter. The robin sings all through the darkest days of the year. Many gardeners are used to the sight of their resident robins, and they are a common entry in the RSPB's annual Big Garden Bird Watch. Can't be the robin. You know, they're dead friendly robins, you know, they always come and have a chat with you. Yeah, they're good. A few robins around us, looking bird. Anyway, apparently there's a bird hide down there. Let's go and have a dog and see what we can see. Hang on a minute. I'm going to come round here to have a better look here. Hold on. I thought so. I didn't even need my binoculars to tell you that there's no birds. They've all gone. So there was a few dogs actually running around, and I think it scared them all off. You know, I wanted to sit there with me book, and right off was pied wagtail, blue tit, and a robin. You know, and they've all gone. Wonder where they're hiding. Poor birdies. You know, scaring them off. Oh, what's that? Oh. Oh, it's you again. Yeah, I know. You know, you have to stop following us about. You know, I know you're very smart and that, but you were a long way from home. You know, you've come all the way from Knaresborough to my house, and now we're in the middle of the Lancashire forest. Yeah, I know, but you know, I've got to stop feeding you mince pies. It's not even Christmas now, and you know, if you like them, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, I know. Right, you know, you have to stay in car and come to Buxton with us now. We can't leave you here. You know, it's oh, dear me. It's that raven again. He keeps following us about. Got you. Oh, where'd he go? He disappeared again. Tell you what, that bird follows me about everywhere. Now he'll come back. I'm sure he'll find us next time. Oh look, that one's a jay. Very shy birds they are. We actually had one in our backyard for a while, but I haven't seen it for a while. Very shy bird. That's a kingfisher. It's always people do great shots of them. You know, they sit above the rivers, and then he dives like, you know, lightning flash and get a fish out and go off. And that's a great spotted woodpecker, that is. We had, I think, one of them at Backrose as well. But you always hear doing that really fast, pecking away at something on, you know, in a tree. Yeah. So this is the Wigan Engineering Society. Now this I've been on this a long time ago, the same era as when I went on the 15-inch. And we went behind a battery powered class 37 and a steam engine, you know, like didn't half fly, super fast round here. And for a little, was it 5-inch, and there's a little gauge in with, I don't know, there's two gauges. There's a gauge in the middle and there's a gauge in it. I'd have to climb over and get my tape measure, but I'm not going to do that because it's locked. But it's quite a good bit of loop, and they've got a bit of shed up there for making brew. What's very important in the railway, if you can have a hot plate with your water and you know, your brew, it's very important, that is. It's part of, if you don't have a narrow gauge without a shed, you're doing something wrong, I think. So that's over there, and also they've got a fiddle yard over there, so when you turn up in your car and you take your engine out your car, you get it off your car and on a bit of a railway ramp onto the little fiddle yard, so you can get them steamed up and fattled up and talk to what railway people do. Have a good natter, and you have your oil can, you do a bit of lubing up and everything else, and you talk about what's happening in the world. That's another part of the narrow gauge scene. You talk about what's going on in the world, and then talk very intricate bits about pistons and the conrods and things that work in engines pretty much. I'm not going to go into too much details because that's for another day. And you know, and then you go and make your brew, and then you take loads of people around on it. And I might say that that bit of pipe what goes around the edge of the track on both sides is to do with, it's nothing to do with the engines, it's to do with passenger wagons. Obviously when humans get behind these engines that are so small, they have these special wagons what overlap the rails and hang down the sides, so your legs are hanging down the sides, and the wagons have these little runners that run along these pipes here to stop them falling off, because if you just put normal wagons on top of such a raised bed, they'd fall off around the corner and there'd be lots of injuries, or like, you know, being wigging paper. Narrow gauge engine falls off narrow gauge track with lots of people. You know, but so they've had to put them, they have to make it like that. But it means you can go over more better ground when you've got them elevated. You can go over boggy ground and stuff and bits of rivers, and you know, you can get some speed up on them. It's pretty good, like. I won't go into the more nitty gritty stuff, but this is the Thomas Edward channel, and I just give you just enough to whet your appetite so you can go and have a look yourself. So, but today we're on about the 15-inch, and this is a bit of a digression really. So that's the railway, narrow gauge railway at Haigh, 15-inch. Now we're on the drive, what's been tarmac since I last came. I think it was actually more gravel than this when I came. Well, this is sort of the main driveway up to the hall, up to Haigh. What's a house what's stood here on this site since, I think this particular house was built in late 1820s and was completed in 1840s. Well, 1840 I think it's completed. But on this actual site up at Haigh, this parkland, not an exact location that this house is in, but roughly in the park, it's had a house on here since the 12th century, so a long time. But the guy who built this was James Lindsay, and it's something to do with the Lindsays. This land was inherited by the female sort of line of another family. No, there was no males left in the family to inherit it or have it, and this lady who got it, she married James's dad, and then obviously when James grew up, he went, oh, I'm going to build a new house, I'm going to load a dosh here, let's build this. They built that, and it's, even though it doesn't look it, it's meant to be sandstone, a lot of the structure of it. But it lasted, this house lasted in that family from the 1800s right up to 1947. By then it was David Lindsay, who was like the 11th son, the 11th generation of Lindsay. And he sold it to Wigan Corporation for £18,000, so the price of a small hatchback in today's money. He sold that. But through the war, I think in World War II, I think it was used like many manor houses. It was used for wounded soldiers and the like. You know, a lot of manor houses opened up the war, and it was, you know, it was part of the war effort, and they did their bit with the big houses because they had the room. They were the wounded soldiers. It's had and obviously by then in 1947, David must have had enough of living round here, or it wasn't for him, so he sold it to Wigan Corporation, £18,000, and he went back to the family home. What's on the east coast of Scotland? It's a lot older house than this. This is quite a modern house into their family home. It's a long driveway. This is quite. TE's enjoying this. So you can just think one day, and TE's a famous celebrity. It might not happen, but I could come up here in my roller up this driveway, and that'd be my house, and I could park in front of it, and it would rule America, that would. But these lines in the road, when I last came, these weren't here. It wasn't tarmac like this with these lines. And I think it actually has a road that runs up and down here. You know, like what they build. Severn Lamb build them. If you watch the Fleetwood video, you'll know Severn Lamb they started off doing narrow gauge engines. When they've gone in now, they've gone on to getting Land Rover chassis and making like a steam outline with a few carriages on, and they run around places like this, and parks and theme parks, and Morecambe Prom's got one, and I think here's got one as well, and this is why they've done this. But it's as we get nearer to the hall, it's really big, isn't it? Really nice. That's the kind of hall and like era of house he likes. I like really big slab looking square houses with pillars on the front. I like that. But Sarah Beanie had a house very similar to this, what she did up on a TV show. But it cost her too much money to get it done, so she sold it, and now she's building another very similar manor house and an old bit of farmland. What's a recent TV show actually. So yeah, I like this, it's nice. The original idea, I think, for this house, when Wigan got it, and council and that, and in recent years, I think, it was going to be turned into a hotel. You know, you can come and have your wedding and the like, and you know, and you'd have all posh parking here, cars, and a butler waiting at the door, park your car and get your luggage. But obviously, like the railway behind us, what we've just done, all that's been knocked on the head, and now it's falling in, and all the windows are going rotten, and people are breaking into it, and it goes on and on and on. To I don't know what it will happen. To Dan Dixon, who lives down the road, goes exploring out. What will happen next? That's what will happen from exploring with fighters. He'll be exploring this one day. He probably already has, but he hasn't done a video on it. It's got a few chimneys on that. You know, if we had a TE, you know, I've just had a power cut. If we had a power cut on this weekend, we'd be out back with emergency generators and batteries. Charging them up so we could run the lights, and then all those chimneys up there would have some fires lit and plenty of wood down in storm. We'd be stoking them up. That would roll, that would. And in there somewhere, it looks pretty gutted. When we had a look in one of the windows before, inside there's not much in it. In there somewhere, you could have the bow system with all the rooms where it goes ding 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 ding. You know, so we could have the TE bow system going in there. And TE's master suite upstairs. You know, I could press the bell, ding ding ding. That would roll, that would. So yeah, this is main door, and over there is a view over Wigan and all the landscape. A bit like looking over Manchester, but a smaller version. You get those kind of views when you go to Oldley Edge, and you go up the tops there, you can see across all Manchester. But now you can see across Wigan. That's Wigan Rugby Club over there, and there's a few Fred Dibner chimneys left down there, just to the left of the club. There's a John Deere Gator coming. Park wardens. This is what you need when you live on a big private estate. Oh, there's another one coming in the other way. You have a little ATV, all-terrain vehicle, to bomb round in. Or TA'd probably just have a Land Rover to bomb round in. Pretty good. would have been all cobbles like this probably originally around the back of here. Little doors here with lamps. There's a lady on the market in Hebden Bridge sells those lamps. Now, estate office. This would be originally when this was a proper manor house and lords, you know, Lord at Manors live in it. All his staff and his drivers, or probably horses, or maybe when he had his first motor car. This would be what's known as the tradesman's entrance would be here, and this is where all his staff would be in. It's got the holes here, look at this. It's got the holes, this would be brass here. Have a little buzzer in there. Ding! Would be in there. It's got loads of little like bits cut into the wall and stuff, where it had probably a little bit, maybe had stables, but they're up there actually, the stables are up there. These would have been little bits of outhouses around here. But round here, there's a big old concrete plinth round here, and it could be an old, like, because in war, it could have been an old air raid shelter. Could be even a bunker underneath what's been capped off. Or it's been where the generator room's been, where they would add big batteries to charge the house. And then probably a big engine on it, maybe. But if TE owned it, all this bit of land here is perfect for a massive garage for a car collection and tractor engines. Wow, what? So there you go, yeah, well, there you have it, the end of the Haigh 15-inch gauge rail with a bit of haul history and a bit of other history and a bit of bird activity. I didn't expect, but you never know in these Thomas Edward videos, it takes all sorts, you know. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Give me a comment below and a like and a subscribe, because it makes new TE fans find TE, well, Thomas Edwards. And if you've really enjoyed it, remember to click that big bell. Ding!
Oh, start me at 100. 100 for a starting one. 100 I bid. 100 I bid. Who'll give me 10? Who'll make it 110? I'm looking for 110. 110. 110 I bid. 110. Who'll make it 20? Who'll make it 20? Come on, gentlemen. Who'll make it 20? 120 I bid. It's with you, madam, at 120. Do I hear 50? 150 anywhere? Come on, gentlemen. That's a genuine antique. Don't come up every day. 150. 150 I bid. 150. Come on, gentlemen. I'm looking for 350. 350 anywhere. Don't lose it, madam. Don't lose it for another 50. 350 anywhere. 350 I'm bid. At 350. Who'll make it 4? I'm looking for 4. Any more? At 350. Are you all done? At 350. At 350.